everyone, so today I just want to talk about different lash curls and the mixing of the lash curls. So here is a quick example of two D curls. So the curl is determined by the manufacturer of the supplier. So the supplier does not make the lashes. The manufacturers, possibly in China or Korea or these sorts of places, will make the lashes. And every manufacturer's interpretation of what the curl is will be just slightly different. So here is, both of these are 14 millimeters, 0.06. This first one is Lash Base, and this is a D curl. And this one is Lash Art, and that's also a D curl. So you can see how different they are. So when it comes to delving into going past what you probably got from your starter kits in your courses, when it comes to buying from different suppliers and companies, you just have to be careful that the curls are not as different as these two are. So even though you think you're buying the exact same lash just from a different company, they might look very, very different. So just be aware of that when you start buying and trying different lashes from different companies. So I tend to really only mix a C and a D together, and I tend to do it with every single set that I do. I like to use the C curls right here and here, because anything too curly here or here, when that client opens their eyes, it's going to curl back and it's going to be almost too curly. So you still want to keep that natural sort of shape going on those corners. So these I always use as a C curl. And then the majority of people are always sort of looking for that lift at the end. So I'm putting mainly, look at them, D curls in here, sorry about them. And then I taper the D curls down, not in length, I'm not talking about length here, I'm just talking about curl. So I'll taper them down, so I'm sort of blending them. And then the rest I'll put as a C curls all the way through. Now when you do that on this outer corner with the C curl and the D curl, you do tend to get a more 3D effect. So there's your C curl and then your D curl, and I do tend to try and put the D curl on that top layer because they're what you will see. So they're curling up, the C curls underneath, and then you've got obviously the natural lash there. So you do tend to get this sort of like 3D effect, which is really nice. So they'll sit on top. So the D curl I always put on the top layer. That's really important to be able to get this effect. So to get quite a flicky outer corner, like in this picture, so this is the eye shut, and we're looking at creating, you seen that when they really flick out at the corners? And then obviously they come down, blah, 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 blah. But that flicky outer corners. So what you want to do is sit lashes together, snug them together. So what you want to do is visually a 12 C curl visually looks the same length as a 13 D curl. So when you add this, for example, together, so that would be 11C and a 12D and so on, you know. If you have 12C, 13D, 12C, 13D, you create depth here, because you've got two curls merging together, which creates more density. The D is going to flick and the C is going to create the length. And then when you are creating these sections, you can put in between these, say a 14 in a D or a C. And then that will give you that flick that comes right out, but you still create depth here without it all just being. And then that's the same obviously over here. You could put an 8C and a 9D and an 8C and a 9D and then somewhere in here a 10. So having curls hugging each other, so you C and your D hugging it, when visually from the top they look the same length. So another thing to be careful about this concept is if you're doing a feline flick and you're using a D curl at the end and a C curl through here, sometimes you can find that you have a dip before it comes up instead of it just going up, because what you'll be doing is using, you might go 11, 12, 13, 14 all in a C and then a 14D, where visually these two are not the same. This is not any longer than this. This looks shorter than this. So what you'd want to be doing here, if you're keeping that as a 14C, is using a 15D to create lift rather than a dip. So I hope that makes sense. It's a bit mind-boggling, but I just think when you're trying to mix curls or mix different companies together, different suppliers, and your sets aren't, you're looking at them and you're like, what the hell, why do they look so straight when normally they look so curly, or this D curl is so flat? That's probably why. You just want to check the different curls of the different companies. And like I say, this is quite an important one. So taking note that visually the C and the D are about a length apart, about 1 millimetre apart when it comes to visually looking the same. So that's quite important. So I hope that's been helpful. Let me know what you think, and I will try and get another video up to you very soon. Lots of really exciting things happening at Loft Lashes at the moment, so watch this space.